Good day and welcome back to Elementary 72 Gaming. So yesterday I just took you on a little walk around, took you on a little bit of a trip, let you see what was going on with the game, where I am, and I'm actually going to be talking about quite a few things in today's video. Now, one of those things is actually going to be the organization of companies. Now, a lot of us are part of companies. A lot of our companies have structures that were formed within them from the start, and they have different purposes per se. And you, you- okay, some of this is going to be a bit difficult to put forward, and it's just the theoretical idea of how the companies should function. And as I'm saying, it's a theoretical idea of how they should function. Your company should be broken up into two corps. Your PvP territory control corps, which means whose land you're stealing and whose land you're invading, what you're overtaking, what you're going to try and hold. And the other corps should always be your PvE corps. Now, the PvE corps is quite difficult to actually wrap myself around. It actually goes right back to the start where I had the Crafters Corps. So Crafter's Corps is pretty simple. You break up your objective into 5 individuals, basically, who are going to become your master craftsmen, and another 20 individuals who follow up with them. It allows you to have rotating cycles of crafting. It allows for all crafting to go through, and it also allows your company to try and hold a monopoly on the gains within the game. Now, I know that sounds a bit heavy and a bit convoluted in its totality, the way that I'm saying it, but I did try to put forward that system, and that system can fall apart quite easily depending on how a company reacts to the policies. Now, here's something where a company can fall apart. It's dependent on leadership. If the leadership has too much of a free flowing system in the company, if it's too casual, then you can't have hardcore systems in place like what I had. And if you have a hardcore system along with everything else being casual, it generally can work provided it's just one section. But the moment too many things become hardcore, that's when everything starts to change rapidly for the formation of the company. Now, most of the problems with the crafting cores and the PvE cores and the PvP cores came from the developers and from the gaming company and their servers. They had poor management, poor regulation, and they were slow on fixing their problems. Honestly, it showed a lack of competence from the developer in the start, but that directly impacted those types of systems. Any system that had any type of sternness would have to have broken a little bit and allowed some leeway, but you would have to reinstate that sternness at another point. Obviously, that is quite difficult and not that easy to reinstate. It ended up causing a lot of problems for companies such as the company I'm in, where our crafters core ended up dissolving against speedrunners. Speedrunners sped through the game. They earned a massive amount of cash in the process of speedrunning. They sold precious resources. They didn't internal trade. They didn't help the development of the company. They profited heavily. And in the end, they ended up as very rich individuals within the company, reaching, obscene goals very quickly. Now, obviously, these are just the basics, just the tip of the iceberg, where things start when you have those systems and they go out of control. The next problem with all of this is actually maintaining the status quo of your companies after something like that has happened. I just want to check what I have in Brightwood. I don't have anything here. I could pick up some missions, but I don't really want to because I'm already done with Brightwood. And I'm done with Morningdale, and next I'm gonna have to go to Restless and finish up all of these. So much to do. But nonetheless, let me just get on to what I'm on. Okay, so yeah, there is the first thing to note about crafting. Crafting was really affected by those, and as I said, the speedrunners generally didn't really care about the core, and when they ended up forming up the ranks, they ended up taking over the core. Now, I know that sounds like it's something minor and it's not something all that bad, but it does have a negative effect on the entirety of a company. Oh, wait, this is Brightwood. I just need to take a run for wood. Took the wrong exit. Okay. So yeah, that is just the basics. So yeah, the crafting core will fall apart, and you're going to have all type. Oh my goodness, yeah, that is not something I want to do. I did lose a flag for a little bit. I call it loser flag because it is a loser flag. You only put it on if you want to show off and you want to exploit the game. It's quite literally an exploit made possible by the devs because their idea of a pure PvP game could not be realized, which is the basis of what was going on there. So yeah, anybody who thinks otherwise of the devs for what they did, well, there's my message for it. Whew. I'm quite a heavy individual when it comes to criticism. I don't hold back. Criticism comes from me all the time when it comes to these types of things. I'm not afraid to give my criticism to a game. Feeling a bit lost. Can't believe I'm feeling lost. Oh yeah, that's why I'm feeling lost. I'm in the wrong place altogether. Actually could cut directly across this valley. It would save me some time. Okay, so right then, after the basic crafter's core is a core that bonds into the crafter's core. This core is actually called the gatherer's core. Now, crafters and gatherers are generally part of the same core. However, as I said, you have your 5 primary members and 20 backup members so that you have rotations. Same thing applies to gatherer's core. Those who are crafters generally will become part of the gatherer's core, and they'll form that same type of role for your gatherers. The multiple numbers allow you to gather a lot of items really quickly. It allows you to hold quite a bit of control over the areas in the game, and that is the whole idea behind the gatherer's core. Now, obviously, from what I just said, it means that it only requires 25 individuals. Now, the PvP core is really left out of a lot because their entire purpose is not really the same as your PvE core, and you'll understand that in a second when I start explaining it out a little bit better. But here goes. Your PvP core's primary purpose is to gain territories. They make money off territory gain. They make money out of territory holding. They do not make money out of the loose end or the low end of things like crafting. They make money from the settlement. They require your PvE players to push forward and then carry them through activities. That is generally the way in which PvE works because the system of play is far different from the PvP system. Oh, somebody has been through here. Yeah, so PvP and PvE are vastly different. You're going to see a lot of differences in them if you're playing with them in terms of the game. Yeah, I might jump down and then jump up and then jump around. Ugh. You might be wondering why I always do this weird run here. That's because this is one of my habits from being gathering and crafting head. I make a route and I try and stick to my routes, and even though other people showed me a lot longer, a lot more efficient routes for multiple types of gathering all at once, I generally prefer my route over all the others. Fishing wasn't capable of being integrated into my route no matter how hard I tried, so unfortunately I don't have a good fishing and harvesting route. I do have a route which includes fishing, but that's purely for dungeons. That's depths and I think dynasty. If you're doing either one of the two, or if you intend to do it and help people through, then you just sit at either one of the two with fishing bait and you just fish away. Hopefully you get enough to pull up your levels, a few levels, and you just settle with it. Really need to work on my fishing though. Okay, so back to the next part. So as I said, your PvE core then helps you. Your PvE core consists of 25 extraordinarily well adept PvE members. They're going to run your dungeons, they're going to run your activities. Now, how do you organize this in terms of having it well set up? Well, you have rotations, you have patterns, and you have times. You can make up groups, but you must not allow a well-conditioned group to be solely for each other. That means that that skill that you're bringing through to each of those levels will never translate through to another group of players. You basically end up saturating all the skill in one place, and nobody else is going to get to taste the skills at the end of the day. Because, say for example, we're talking about guys who can do Genesis and Lazarus. If you have 5 members who only play with each other, and you have a company of 100 members, remember that there's 25 people who most likely can do Genesis and Lazarus. And if all of them are only stuck in their 5-man groups and they're not willing to reintegrate into the crafters, reintegrate into the PvP members, pull them through, teach them the ropes of the dungeons, you end up with this massive saturation where you don't have the ability to move through to the next part in the game. I know it sounds a bit heavy, but that's the reality of it. You can saturate out your activities and you end up with those type of situations. That happens to me sometimes, just superpower right through the cut. But it doesn't happen every single hit. If I put on my logging settings, probably could do it every single hit. Okay, so let's go on to the rest of it. So when you start integrating the players by mixing them together, as I was saying, you end up with a lot of opportunity, a lot of extra chances in game to do a lot of extra things. And that's the whole idea, because now you have your other members getting some experience into, for example, dungeons, raiding, basically what it's called, and all of a sudden you have these expedition teams who can form up all the time, so your company is well suited. It's what the whole idea behind the modifiers are, the mutations that they're trying to introduce. They're meant to actually reintroduce that particular type of ideal to the game, so that you can have these high-end groups that are really pristine and prestigious inside these activities. What they don't understand is people stopped running after them because the gain in terms of level isn't good enough to account for the amount of effort that goes into them. Sorry about that. Yeah, so a lot of people don't get that whole idea, and it's what ends up messing up a lot of the situation. Those are low levels. I'm probably trying to get their logging up. I kind of messed it up for them a little bit by running into that little patch and stealing out the weird wood from under them. I'm gonna have to be going through that again with my new character, who you will get to see pretty soon. It's going to be on Twitch, more than likely. So yeah, you can look for me on Twitch, Elementary 723. 723. Yeah, I just added a 3 to the end of it because Elementary 72 was taken, ironically enough. So yeah, that's where you can find me on Twitch, and that is the account that I use there. So yeah, if anybody is interested, that is where you can find the little progress that's going to go. Now, I don't upload videos on Twitch, but I will try and do that coming up in the next few weeks. It's a simple reason. I didn't know that you could upload videos on Twitch until recently, where I found videos were uploaded, and I thought that everything was just live streams. So yeah, my mistake. Oh, the PvP box. That's just another thing that I strongly disagree with, ironically enough. Yeah, I am heading in the right direction, just a way more tight angle. Well, okay. I might have to eat some food and get my healing up in a little bit. And everything is down here, so looks like somebody has been farming. You can't win it all. Pretty much impossible to get everything your way. You'll get some, you'll lose some, the way that it goes. Okay, so yeah, moving on to the whole formation. Now, once you have people who get good at the PvE activities, who aren't PvE masters, your PvE team gets a little bit better because they have to learn to pull weight. And that is something which makes a difference in your skill that you won't notice until you have something like these advanced modifiers. You're gonna get members who just can last in a dungeon regardless of how powerful the dungeon is, and it's gonna make no sense because they're gonna be these weak players in general as far as you thought they were, and all of a sudden they're just going to go through these high level dungeons that are supposedly way more difficult, and they're just going to dominate them like it was nothing. And you're gonna wonder, how did they get this extra levels of skill? Where did it come from? How did they do it? What's the secret to all of this? And the secret is quite simple. They just moved on. Moved on to the next step in their adventure. I'm not sure that this is up. Pretty much isn't up. So yeah, at that point they're going to be super OP. They're going to know what they're doing in terms of just about any dungeon. And when it comes to actually playing through the dungeons, they're going to have the smooth run through the dungeon that is just unbelievably uncanny. And when they complete dungeons and when they complete expeditions, sorry, I'm mixing up dungeons and expeditions and raids, because they're all actually the exact same thing. It's just different names for the exact same activity. Happens quite a bit, and it can get a bit confusing. So yeah, as people do this here, they end up with these massive advantages in their gameplay styles, and they can do some pretty amazing things with that type of a base. And yeah, that's going to get you up to all new levels, and you're just going to keep flying through and having fun, right? That's just the reality of the situation. That's why you want to push for that type of situation. And when they fly through and they learn how to do the higher end activities in the first difficulty or the second difficulty, then after this year they're going to start pulling in more people up and teaching them how to do it. And you're going to have an easier method and an easier method being found, because these high level efficiencies that they gain from playing these activities over and over again with the harder difficulty of pulling someone through gives them a way to do things. Now you're gonna get teams where the DPS is as good as an entire team, and you're gonna get teams where the tank pulls the entire team. If your team is one which is being pulled by your tank, then you know what, then that tank is really something special. He's affecting your gameplay strategy. Change your tank up and try and work harder so that you can get through those activities without that particular tank. Keep playing without that tank as your tank. Switch the tank to DPS, switch the tank to any other position on the field besides the tank, and you're going to get a massive advantage for your gameplay. Now I say that, and the one thing that I have hidden up my sleeve is I actually have a Genesis key waiting for me to do Genesis anytime I want to do the dungeon, which is kind of ironic since I'm saying that you don't need to that you shouldn't do it unless you have the PvP core, not PvP, sorry, the PvE core. And ironically enough, I actually would form part of a PvE core and a crafters core because of how often I ran most of the dungeons. Most of my money in the start of the game came from helping people through dungeons, and at one point or the other it was actually helping people through Genesis and Lazarus. And with their crazy fees right now, I feel better to hold on to my cores for now. I'll purchase them up next week or in a week's time, and that'll be when I have more cores. Or I'll just run through Slavinkis in Iron Grove, run through Mangled Heights, pick up everything that's needed for that dungeon, go through to Genesis, complete Genesis, get the pieces that I need to get into Lazarus, build Lazarus keys, and exercise Lazarus for more money, at which point I'm just going to keep cycling my earnings. And since I am also a farmer, as you can see, gathering oh, okay, that seems a little bit more interesting. I wonder, does my voice chat work today? No, it's still disabled. Wait. Oh yeah, my voice chat doesn't switch on unless I'm in a group. It's only for groups. So yeah, I can't do it solo, and when I'm in a party I can hit B and that should activate voice chat in game. Now gold ore is something that I still just pick up whenever I can. It's not really so important that I need it, but I figured that I should keep a little bit of gold ore. Oh, one more ironwood tree. That is fantastic. There's another shock bulb on the top of not shock bulb, a shock gem on the top of the mountain on the other side of this ridge. So if I go around, I'll be able to grab that, and that will give me a big boost. Hopefully that will be enough to, you know, get me what I need in terms of my resources. Logging another level. Now all of this logging is actually done to help another member of the company, one of my friends, and I generally do this here for anybody who asks nicely, provided you don't say anything silly or stupid. I generally help you out, and I know some people consider stupid to be very offensive. If you do, well, that's your own thing. I don't really care. So yeah, that is the basics on how you work up your companies. Now, are there other things for your company to do? Yeah, there's plenty of things for you to do as a company. If you have the right members and you have the right type of setup in your company, things can be unbelievably prolific. You can have everything done for you as a company. You can make tons and tons out of just the basic activities in the game, and you'll enjoy yourself. And that's no overdoing of a statement, that's just the reality of it. You'll enjoy yourself with the game because the game won't feel difficult. And when you play with people who are in your company, who are part of your community, you feel like you're included. And when communities become toxic and they try to push people out of the community and not be part of the mainline group, that's when you end up with problems. That's when you end up with individuals who become a bit more vocally unpleasant because they don't feel included. And when you say something and it's offensive against them, they're gonna feel like they need to push back a little bit because they've already been pushed out of the line of the community. And that's how it goes in these companies. When you have casual companies, you need to have some order to them as well. So an example of that is what's going on with the company I'm in. Ironically enough, it's something that I've been doing quite a bit of. That's organizing elite runs, organizing corruption runs. It's something that I did on a bi weekly basis. Every 2 weeks, I'd organize these things, and they'll all fall apart generally because of, how should I put it, a lack of willingness to listen to what's going on. We have a portal schedule set up. It's 6 p.m. on Fridays when it starts. So today before 6 p.m., if I complete my portals, tomorrow my portals will be completed as part of the company. Actually, I don't mind even completing portals more than once outside of the time because it doesn't. Okay, one of those is actually something I don't have. Sorry, I was just reading that I get so lost with what I'm saying when it comes to the game. It actually really implements quite a bit. Now, I was the one who was running all of this, and things were just falling apart so quickly. That's because leadership had this tendency to overlook the PvE parts of the game. And when anything is being organized, they don't consider it to be important because we literally shoved all of our leadership into PvP. We have people in leadership in Invernation, and I'm just being serious, who are just leaders because they need people to pull people into the wars. That is the only reason why they get the console badge. They didn't contribute, they didn't try to help, they didn't try to organize, they just took part in PvP, right? When I say try to help, I mean when it came to weapons, we ground ourselves down to the bone. We got every piece of void ore that we could, and we helped those who were in the PvP core get weapons, and that helps with fighting in the wars. And one leads to the next, leads to the next. That's the whole idea that we have, and that wasn't part of what they considered to be important, and it ended up falling through into the rest. Sorry, got hit in the throat with my own. I'll just leave the rest of that out. But anyway, one leads to the next, leads to the next is exactly what I was saying. So the PvP core is helped by the PvE core. If they doing things that can help pull up your power level, they can help power level, gear score, light level, whichever system of ranking you're familiar with, you can use it for the purpose of representation of the game. Now I can't sell this. I'm actually gonna hold on to it for Lexi when he shows up. I'll just have a look to make sure he's not online. No, he isn't. I actually have a beautiful schematic over here for a nice expensive item. I'm actually thinking of trying to craft it for myself. Not sure if I can, and I'm not sure if I should, but I want to try. So I'll see what I do about that. Yeah, this is one of my biggest secrets. I'm holding on to all of this. The reason why I'm holding on to all of these is I intend to actually sell them in the end when it comes time for crafting in the next set of gear, which a lot of people wouldn't have actually thought of. They'd be getting their crafts in now, and later on they won't have anything to craft with, and they'll be stuck, and I'll win at that point. Let's see, 2k fee. I can actually afford it. Okay. Exquisite gifts. Let's just pull this. I didn't intend to go up to Morningdale and see what I could get done. The only reason why I still keep doing this is it gives this. And I like the 100 free coins. Helps you out in the day. Pulls you up quite a bit. Do it every day for a week and you've got tons. Some basic leather in this city. Reduces some of the basic weight. That's the whole idea. Don't want to be carrying the max amount everywhere I go. That was dangerous. I almost crafted it. Okay, so yeah, that's the basics on structures. And let's talk about the more important parts of structures. I'm actually just going to teleport to my house quickly to get rid of some of this weight, and then I'll explain everything else as fast as possible. So when it comes to using these structures and taking advantage of these structures, you end up with a lot of benefits down the line. Like I was saying, you get to pull up your levels all the time. You can run elite runs all the time because you have that PvE core who consists of 25 players. You can't do Genesis 25 times a week with all of them included with each other. They might do 5 Genesis runs or 10 Genesis runs across their entire group of 25. If you count them one to each of the members of the company, you have more than enough for every group of 5. Everybody will get a chance to go through, one person helping them through. A good healer helping everybody through, there you go, good healer. He teaches them how to handle their roles, keeps the tank alive, teaches the tank how to do the bosses, the mechanics, all of that is explained, and you go through with Genesis. Then you go up, you get the next set done, you get the next set done after that there. Perfect thing for you to do as just the basics. Okay. Hit the wrong one. Yeah, so that is the thing. You get just the basics in, and it can help your company in such a massive way. Now, obviously, you get some companies who just fall apart when it comes to these methods because they aren't the simplest methods to follow through with. And do not in any way think that I am misrepresenting it by what I'm about to say. When it comes to holding a system in a company, it is intense. It's going to take up hours of your time no matter how hard you try to push it down. It is going to fill up all of your schedules for how you're going to manage your company. So leadership is so important in those types of companies. And beyond all of this, if you think leadership was difficult, it gets even worse down the line when it comes to those who are actually pushing it even further beyond just the basics, where you try to organize it so that everybody can take part in invasions, everybody can take part in wars, and that's when things get real difficult. You have to have a proper construction inside your company. So when I say construction, I don't mean basically doing things which are insane or out of the ordinary, weird for you to be pushing for your company to handle. I just mean all you've got to do is make sure that you don't confuse your structures in your company. Ooh, there's a lot of stuff to look through. A little bit of extra. Okay, so yeah, there was the basics of this. Yeah, I'm really sorry that I dragged it out a little bit too long. kind of got carried away with the game. So I'll see you all in the next one and have a good day.